No.
Okay, so this is my opinion on the expansion as of right now.
Okay.
New expansion coming out, Battle for Azeroth. As I've said in the past, it's every single issue that has occurred in the World of Warcraft in general, between the faction fighting and all that comes with, could have been fixed with just a little bit more communication. And it's such a big lore plot hole that it's just like, oh, why didn't they talk more? Because they hate each other. They hate each other because they don't talk. Anyways, the actual expansion itself is gearing up to be rather interesting, in my opinion. And it's going to come down to how do they handle promotion. Because I got invited to the beta, a couple days ago when I canceled my subscription. Now, I paid for time ahead of time, so that's just how I handle it. And they give me beta access because I canceled. What? This doesn't quite make sense, but okay. And I'll be giving it a try, and I'll be giving my opinion on things.
Right? Okay, there you are.
Again, when I get finished with the beta as it is right now. But my opinion of it is as of right now is, if they have a rep grind for anything other than mount-specific stuff or cosmetics, I will cancel my subscription. And I will never play this game again. Because right now, what I'm working on is... we're going back to the mini card. What I'm working on right now is getting to the point where I can unlock the Alliance allied races. And it's not just a quest line. I actually have to get exalted with both of the factions on Argus in order to get them. And it's a big slap in the face for Alliance players, because what we're getting is a whole bunch of this, whereas Horde players, High Mountain was their faction. Okay, cool. I can understand the lore reason why they immediately get their faction stuff, as well as the Nightfall. I think it's the Nightfall as their allied races. Okay, from a lore perspective, I understand why it is that the Horde unlocks their allied races when they do. But from a gameplay perspective, it completely shafts Alliance players to the point where it's painful to get there. When they announced it, it was fine. I didn't really complain about it. And then I realized just how much more work is required to get the Horde, or the Alliance allied races, than it is for the Horde. And on top of it, it still took me, as someone who played almost exclusively Horde for a couple years at this point, if I'm to be honest, about 2.5 weeks to actually unlock the allied races for the Horde characters, or for the Horde side. And I can understand a rep grind for, say, their cosmetics, but they put that behind leveling the race from 20, which that's the level that they start at, 20 to 110. I can understand a rep grind for mounts, because it makes sense. but those are also cosmetics when it comes down to it. And the big thing here is this expansion is being touted as one of the biggest that they've come up with since, I want to say, Cataclysm. And it is big. I mean, there's a ton of stuff getting shuffled around. There's a ton of things happening in the lore. There's a ton of content that's being added. And that's good. But if the rep grind is required to unlock the allied races, come the new expansion, no new players will likely see the allied races as players. They will bypass them almost entirely, and I almost say for sure that they won't look back. And mind you, that's just my thoughts on it.
Where did you go?
I'm in an instance thing, so.
Oh, you had to do that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait for you on the ship.
But it's frustrating to see a game like this go from, when I first started, there was little to no rep grind for content. And by that, I'm comparing, the stuff that you would find out in the world to allied races. And in the long run, it's a fair comparison. Especially with a game that's been out for almost 15 years now. In fact, I think we're coming up on the 15 years. Doing a quick search. How long has World of Warcraft been out? World of Warcraft has been out since 2001. Excuse me, that was when it was announced. The actual series itself launched in November 23rd, 2004. So we're actually pushing 14 years? 14 years of this game being out. And a new race hasn't been seen since Pandaria. That's 2 expansions back. And yeah, there could be an argument made for the Demon Hunter being the equivalents of a new race. But they're not. The class. They don't get new base stats, which the base stats don't matter. Barely any. So skips. And the actual racial identities at this point are almost gone. If you want to be proficient at a specific thing, like mining or blacksmithing, yeah, the races have stuff like that, but at this point it's just skins. Which, I realize I'm contradicting myself here, and saying that the rep grind should only be for cosmetic stuff, and yet I'm comparing skins to being cosmetic. Except the Nightborn aren't cosmetic. They have an ability called Cantrip, which allows them to, once, I think every 4 hours, open up a mailbox anywhere that they want. It's just a floating book that they can mail stuff from. And to someone like me, who is a neat freak, and that has a banking account, that has stuff that he sends specifically to specific characters to craft and sell That's massive. It means that I can do that anywhere. I get to the end of a quest chain, awesome. Open up the bank, hit my hotkey for sending stuff out. I just got done grinding the dungeons, cool. Hit that, open up the bank, or open up the mailbox and send it over to my bank to the auction. I mean, and it's... I guess what I'm trying to get at is this. The rep grind is not helping. It's killing the game faster than anything else. The decisions that Blizzard has made to cut content, like releasing expansion, is noticeable. The mobile auction house is getting canned. For starters, which, if you're a savvy auction goer, you know the pricing. No, you can make a couple trades on while you're on the board and actually make profit off it. But there's also, a ton of allied races that could be added to the game that haven't been officially announced. And a great example of that would be the Volpera. Were basically being hinted at by all of the changes that they made. And they have outright said Volpera are not going to be allied races. But they're going to be. It's very hard to say that they're not. Oh, there it is. So, I was trying to work to this subject. And that was the fact that with the way that the allied races are handled for the Horde, you have two different races and two different factions that you need to get exalted. And you also have two different quest lines. But those quest lines, through normal gameplay, should have been done. Because you're supposed to get all 4 of the Pillars of Eternity. And if you were a raider, for instance, you had to have the Suramar campaign completed. Which, given that end game raiding is just about the only thing you can do, it's almost feels like the allied races for the Horde were an afterthought. Especially given that they are on the exact same continent. Which is weird to say continent when really it's just the 3 areas. When they are unlocked by the exact same quest chain. You have to complete Argus, which is an entire block of the expansion. It's not like a section like High Mountain is. Now, yes, to unlock Nightborn, you have to do basically an entire block of the expansion. And I don't have a good argument against that. But it's also the first part of the expansion that was released. I mean, after the initial release, Suramar was next. And I'm doing something. Okay. I need to know. And it's it's a little sad to see that the Alliance is getting so shafted on a lot of stuff. Because I can say fairly with a good bit of certainty that the Kobaran humans were not originally supposed to be able to do it. Because that kind of spits in the face of the Empire. But they were made into druids with interesting druid forms for the sake of equality. In short. And I guess there is something to be said about their closeness with nature in the new expansion. It still doesn't make sense. So I guess what I'm trying to say comes down to two things. One, if the expansion requires rep grind or a significant grind in order to achieve the normal content that has been announced and released, it will go down as the expansion that kills World of Warcraft. And if they are doing what I think they're doing, which is creating an expansion that has consistent amounts of content that is procedurally generated, such as the islands and the warfronts, this is their final expansion. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. This game has been out for almost 14 years now, and it's pushing it. But this game is easily one of the most fun games that I have played in quite some time. And that's coming from someone who doesn't typically like rotation-based, you have to do things in a specific order in order to be efficient games that are MMOs. But I enjoy this because it's a great way to relax with my friends, and it's a great way to unwind at the end of the night. Now, I've been wanting to do a Lore Master series for a long time. If this game kills itself with this expansion, I won't have the chance. And I just want to see World of Warcraft go into the next generation of games and succeed in being around for a full 20 years. But that's a lot to ask of a game. It is a lot. But there's a big but. With the remakes of the games that we have been seeing, the remakes of Crash Bandicoot coming to the new generation of consoles in glorious HD, with all of the little things intact, and the new Spyro game that was announced, the remake of the classic original 3 Spyro games, we see what a game can do in 20 years down the road. What a good developer can do with a game as old as this. But it's an MMO. It has 14 years of content behind it. 14 years of content that you need to get through in order to do that stuff. With heirlooms, with all of the stuff that they've done, the changes to the leveling system, they're trying. But they are trying to monetize their current veteran player base through time and time alone. Because that's what makes them the most money. They get a massive influx every time they release a new expansion. The last time that they released numbers for this game, though, was, I believe, 2015. And it was on a downward trend. And statistically speaking, downward trends won't go back up unless something major happens. So, I'll come back and revisit this topic once I finish the beta that I have access to now. As an Alliance and Horde player. But my final verdict on the game, as of right now, as of 2018, 4 months before the new expansion drops, this game will die with that expansion. And I know a lot of people say this a lot about every single expansion. And I've already said it before. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. Anyways, that's me talking about my thoughts on what the state of World of Warcraft is. I honestly, all I can say is I want to be wrong, and I hope I am. I theorize about a lot of stuff. I theorize about, lore, gameplay mechanics, character interactions, everything. And I've very rarely been wrong. I want to be wrong here. I want to be wrong. 100%. There's not a single part of me that wants to be right. But, give me some time, I'll play the beta, and I'll get back to you. It might be a month or two, but hey. Here's to hoping. Hope you enjoyed the little rant.